There's a fascinating tweet that's popped up in my feed today from Nadine Dorries, and I'm going to read it. This is called Getting the Excuses Out There in Advance, says Nadine. I should really do it in some Nadine-type voice, shouldn't I? For yet again backing what may become another failed leader, whilst having campaigned to remove the one who won a majority and would have saved us from 5 years of socialism. That it's Nadine Dorries' latest salvo against Kemi Badenoch. Well, I'm not going to criticise, am I? But I think it's a little bit it's a little bit rich, really. A barbed commentary aimed squarely at Kemi Badenoch from somebody who was herself really a failure. And she's gone back to writing. She does it, she's a page turner. It's not as if she's writing the greatest political insight that the world has ever had, but she's very entertaining and so much better now she's out of the political limelight. This pithy tweet encapsulates Doris's enduring narrative: loyalty above ambition and a disdain for what she sees as political betrayal. Well, I agree, of course. I think the dark arts of Westminster are not a good thing. For Doris, Badenoch epitomises the self-serving plotters who undermined Boris Johnson and ushered in a period of Conservative decline. I'm afraid my problem is I don't think I would have liked Boris in the first place. I mean, I know Boris, and I know his family, and as an individual, Boris is very charming and affable, but he was a useless prime minister, and he didn't have the nature for the job. And he did the Mayor of London very well, perfectly well, but he wasn't up to the job of being Prime Minister. That is the point. And actually people had called that out before he was elected, and no one paid any attention. And that is rather sad. It's rather sad that the Conservative Party was so blinkered. But people called out Liz Truss as useless before the election. They called out Kemi Badenoch as useless before the election. It's as if the Conservative Party is steamrollering into chaos. And Doris has long framed Badenoch as a central figure in this broader narrative of disloyalty within the Conservative Party. Her accusations include Badenoch's resignation from Johnson's government and the fallout of the Chris Pincher scandal as a key point of contention. Dorries argues that it was Badenoch's exit, along with the others, that was a calculated and opportunistic decision which contributed directly to the critical mass of dissent that forced Johnson's hand and his resignation. She recounts the leaked episode where Badenoch allegedly used colleagues to resign or face removal from a group chat. And for Dorries, this is evidence of poor judgment and what she calls the stupidity of her actions that night, casting doubt on Badenoch's suitability for leadership. I'm inclined to agree. Her bid for leadership after Johnson's departure was viewed by Dorries as premature and self-serving, and in Downfall, she portrays Badenoch as an aloof figure, narcissistically self-important and temperamentally unsuited for high office. I absolutely agree with her. Dorries accuses Badenoch of aligning with figures like Michael Gove and Dominic Cummings. Michael Gove. And what else is Michael Gove famous for? Oh, he's prodigious in the trouser department. And she characterises these members as a shadowy cabal orchestrating the Conservative Party's decline. I was trying to think of another word for orchestrating. I can't. She claims Badenoch's brand of hard-right conservatism is divisive, destabilising the party at a time of existential threat. And in all of that, I think she's right. Badenoch is a bad leader for the Conservative Party. She's one of a long string of bad leaders, starting with Theresa May, going on to Boris, going on disastrously to Liz Truss, and then Kemi Badenoch. Rishi Sunak, I think, is the exception. But Rishi Sunak, for some reason, allowed himself to be manoeuvred and manipulated. And therefore, of course, Rishi Sunak comes across as weak as well. A string of them. And at the heart of Dorris's critique lies a philosophical clash. While Badenoch represents a sharp cultural conservatism with a technocratic edge, Dorries embodies Johnsonian populism rooted in loyalty and charisma. For Dorries, Badenoch's refusal to play the team game, her perceived arrogance and her confrontational style disqualify her from leadership. Her criticism goes beyond policy or ideology. It's deeply personal. Dorries paints Badenoch as rude to editors, dismissive of donors, and consumed by vanity. And these anecdotes, however colourful, reflect the broader divide between Badenoch's pragmatic reformist conservatism and Dorris's nostalgic vision of Johnson's coalition-building charisma. Dorris's narrative hasn't gone unchallenged. Allies of Badenoch dismissed Dorris's claims as fiction and see her criticisms as part of the broader effort to defend Johnson's legacy at all costs. A source close to Badenoch cheekily remarked that Dorries never misses a bandwagon to flog a book, undermining the credibility of her accusations. But the point is, even if we undermine Dorris's, I'm combining the two characters now, even if we undermine Dorris's abilities, the fact that somebody can highlight something that is wrong with Badenoch is also true. Dorries may be a poor judge, but she may have got this right. I think she has. Badenoch's appalling. And Badenoch herself, she's been measured in her response. She calls the claims very strange and emphasises her commitment to the party's future rather than its internal squabbles. Her allies argue that Dorris's attacks are reflective of a wing of the party unable to move on from Johnson's departure, stuck with Johnson, Johnsonians. But the feud between Dorries and Badenoch reflects a deeper struggle within the Conservative Party, but I think also within Parliament, a battle between nostalgia for a past era and the ambition of emerging leaders like Badenoch. And while Dorries frames her criticism as a defence of party integrity and loyalty, her tone, part memoir, part provocateur, often reads as a nostalgic lament for a bygone leader. And the problem is, you can't do that. I think she's right to be criticising Badenoch, but she's wrong to be lauding Johnson. You have to deal with the reality that you've got at the moment. And that is really the mission. And that is what I try and present in these little chats. In Badenoch, Dorries sees not just a rival, but a symbol of what she perceives as a betrayal that undid Johnson's premiership. I think there was a lot that was undone in Johnson's premiership, not least in the carpet and on the carpet and and across the sofa, and maybe in an upstairs room with some individual, which occasions the big row that was heard through the walls. But Johnson, I think it was his trousers that were undone, not his premiership. But whether this critique resonates with Conservatives or merely adds to the party's internal drama remains to be seen. For now, the Dorries-Badenoch clash serves as both a case study in Conservative infighting and an entertaining sideshow for political spectators. But it's very difficult to not to pause and say, actually, whatever you think of Dorries, she's right to point the finger at Badenoch and say Badenoch is not up to the job. She's not. She's not. The other day in PMQs, I thought she'd almost turn turned over a new leaf and was beginning to produce something worthwhile. And then she mentioned Brexit, and the House howled in derision. This is not the job of the leader of the opposition to be a figure of fun, to be a merry Andrew. It's the job of the leader of the opposition to hold the government to account. Kemi Badenoch isn't capable of holding her own side to account. It's just a matter of time before she's replaced. Believe me.